What is BlueChew? What is Rugiet? What is Rose Sparks? Well, I don't think they're going to want me to tell you this, but I will anyway. If you understand the economics of it, then you're going to understand the science. So, first things first, this is generic sildenafil, and it is dirt cheap. Each one of these tablets costs about 20 cents or so if you go to Cost Plus Drugs or whatever it's called, whatever Mark Cuban's drug company is called. Dirt cheap. It's basically a commodity, meaning sildenafil from here is the same as sildenafil from there. And it's so inexpensive that the economics of telehealth, where you see an Instagram ad, you click on it, you go in, they give you the medical consultation and the medication. That doesn't work when this is what you're selling. And you can't pay a physician to write the script and ship the medication and everything like that for that amount of money. Well, next we need to talk about what a compounding pharmacy is, because this is critically important to unraveling the entire thing. A compounding pharmacy is a pharmacy that doesn't just sell medication like the generic ED medication that I talked about a minute ago, but instead can mix different types of ingredients together. The best example I've ever thought of for this is a veterinary medicine compounding pharmacy. Let's say that you have a cat and your cat has to take allergy medication, but you're tired of being scratched as you're trying to shove the pill down the cat's throat, right? And maybe you put it in the food, but the cat kind of picks apart the food and doesn't eat the pill. A veterinary medicine compounding pharmacy can take the active ingredient from that medication and mix it in with some tuna flavoring or something like that. And now your cat just eats it right up and your problems are solved. Likewise, in human medicine, compounding pharmacies can do a number of things, but one of which is that they can take active ingredients for medications, particularly medications that are off patent, like generics medications like sildenafil and tadalafil, into new formats. So, what are these companies selling? They're selling a compounded version of ED medication. Why? Well, there are some benefits to some patients. For example, a sublingual ED medication does work slightly faster than one that you swallow. There are some benefits of dual therapies as well for some patients, which I'll talk about later, but primarily, and get ready for some crazy amounts of honesty here as someone from the industry, a primary driver of this, we have to be honest with ourselves, everybody, is that instead of selling a commodity like I talked about earlier, which costs 20 cents per tablet, you can take that same active ingredient and make it something unique that you can trademark with your name, and you can market it as such. Because if you're all marketing sildenafil, it's just a race to the bottom. Oh, I charge 21 cents. Okay, I charge 20 and a half cents. Okay, I charge 19 cents. But if you're selling a BlueChew or you're selling a Spark or you're selling a whatever, that's your thing. You only have to have a price war with yourself because you can position it as its own unique thing in the marketplace. Something else that is happening in the ED space is where you combine sildenafil and tadalafil together. And for that, compounding pharmacies are absolutely key. Why do some men like that? Well, quite frankly, a lot of men don't need it. They've just seen so many Instagram ads trying to force feed them a subscription that they end up buying it. But if you do need it, it would be for this particular reason. You want that short burst from sildenafil and that long-acting medication from tadalafil. And if you want those, then something like a compounded dual ingredient medication is going to be key. And the best place to get that, quite frankly, is probably from a telehealth company like we're talking about. There's another formulation now from Rugiet and now some others. In fact, even my telehealth company has a similar ingredient list as well. That is sildenafil, tadalafil, and apomorphine. This video isn't about what apomorphine is, but again, just making the point that these telehealth companies are now developing new formulations of ED medications. Now, here's the honest to God truth about these companies. Subscriptions are the engines that make these things run. You see Instagram ad after Instagram ad after Instagram ad after Instagram ad after podcast ad. Soon you're like, you know what? I think a roast spark might actually be just the thing that's going to put a little oomph in my sex drive. You go to the website, but the thing is, you're going to be then in a subscription. And raise your hand if you've ever forgotten to pause or cancel a subscription. I know that I have. Look, if these companies didn't have subscriptions, there's no way that they could afford all of these advertisements to begin with. So just keep that in mind, is that A, most people don't need a compounded version of this. And B, if you pursue it, you're probably going to be in a subscription. That is, unless you go to shamelesscare.com, where I cannot even begin to tell you how much I personally hate subscriptions, and we do not have subscriptions. But the difference is that I didn't start my company because I wanted to start a telehealth company or I wanted to sell compounded medications at a huge price and make a lot of money. I started my company because, quite frankly, I got gonorrhea, which wasn't diagnosed properly by an existing telehealth company because their testing is really not very good or thorough. Hello, oral swabs. I have plenty of videos about that. But as a consequence of needing an entire team of physicians, we also do medication as well. And my whole thing is transparency. And what really triggered this video is that I have seen men on the internet arguing about which is better, BlueChew or Row, or Hims or Row, when in reality, in most situations, they are talking about the exact same active ingredients, but their mind has somehow been warped by countless Instagram ads. And so I just want to be a little beacon of truth in the industry and here on YouTube. So thank you so much for watching, everybody, and we'll talk next time.